You know, for the past few years, I felt like time was just passing me by. Every single day, it was just passing by so fast, so rapidly, that I just felt like, where's my life going? Like, it literally felt like one day to the next, I was like, how has it been 24 hours since I was right here? I was just here. It feels like it was maybe 5 hours ago, and yet 24 hours had passed, and then another 24 hours. And the cycle just continued and continued, right? And this carried on for a number of years. For like 5 years, I remember the passing of time just sped up so fast that I felt like, where did these 5 years go? Now, that's not to say that I didn't make any changes or improvements in my life or make any progress, because I did. It was just that time felt like it was passing way quicker than it used to. And you know, the interesting thing about this is people have a lot of theories about it, right? One particular theory, they say, well, the passing of time or the perception of time is different when you're young compared to when you're old, right? You've probably heard something like this. Think about it. When you're young, you only have so many years, and so that percentage of time feels very long in comparison to maybe when you're like 50 or 60, right? Because you've lived a longer life. Now, that may seem true, right? And I can see the merit in that argument. I don't buy it completely, to be honest. And I'll tell you why. Right now, in this particular time in my life, I don't feel like time is passing me by. I actually feel like time is going normal, we should say, right? It's just, I'm living my life. It's enjoyable, right? Before, it felt like time is passing so fast and I feel like I'm running out of time. That's how it used to feel. I don't feel like that now. I don't feel that pressure, and I feel more relaxed and calm. Now, I could go into detail on what kind of things changed practically in my day from, say, a year ago till like now, right? But that's besides the point. I really think that the idea of the perception of time is more so not what you do in the day, but what you think about in the day, how you go about your day, and how present you actually are in the moment. What does this mean, right? Because this feels very like philosophical up in your head, right? I get that. But there's something to be said about this, right? When you're in a present state, when you're living in the moment, you're only thinking about now. You're only focusing on what's going on around you. What feelings you feel inside, your bodily sensations, and the environment around you. That's what the present moment is. Now, if you're focusing on the future, or you're focusing on the past, you're not in the present moment. And because of that, that's where these worries, anxieties come from. You see, when you are just thinking ahead into the future, oftentimes you're thinking about what's going to happen, and oftentimes it's in a negative light. You're not thinking about the great things that could happen. You're thinking about like what could happen in a negative way. And the same holds true when you're talking about the past. You're thinking about things that happened that maybe you regret, you feel guilty of, you feel shame towards. And you see, these kind of feelings create an emotional frequency in you. Again, this could sound strange to you, but it's true, right? An emotion is just what's going on inside your body, right? This energy. And it's circulating through you very differently than when you're feeling in a very happy, joyful, and full of gratitude, right? In that kind of state, very different. So if you're living the majority of your day in a state that's so focused on the past or on the future, and you're not living in the present moment, you're going to feel full of anxiety and worry. And because of that, I believe that your perception of time will be influenced by that. You see, because that other argument about the actual spacing of your life, right? Like the amount of years, I don't think that can hold true, because look, right now, I'm not feeling that way. But guess what? I'm 1 year older than I was a year ago, obviously. So where does that argument stand, right? Again, I think there is merit to it, but I don't think it's the only thing that decides your perception of time and why things feel like they're going faster. So if you feel like your life is just passing you by, you need to ask yourself, why? You see, because it's not the things that you necessarily do in the day, but that is a part of it. The main thing, though, is just the fact that you're thinking not in the present moment. The present moment is literally all you have. It's all we have, right? The present moment is literally the now. Who are you right now in this moment? Think about it right now. You're watching this video wherever you are, okay? You could be on the bus, you could be on the toilet, you could be laying down on your bed in your room, anywhere, right? I bet you didn't even think about that till I mentioned it, right? Think about it. You've been watching this video, or many videos before this one, and you weren't thinking about your body in space. You weren't thinking about where you actually were. Were you thinking about the fact that your heart is beating right now? Were you focusing on your breath? Maybe now that I've mentioned them, you're starting to notice them. But just a minute ago, these things were still taking place regardless of you focusing on them. But you see, when you focus on them, you become more grounded because now you're focused on the present moment. Now, of course, this is not always going to be the case. Sometimes you need to focus on things that happened in the past because it could help you make a decision on what you should do in the future. You could also focus on the future because by focusing on that, now you figure out what choice you should make. So it's not necessarily that those things are bad, but how much time do you spend in one of these three pockets? Past, present, future. If you're not focusing the majority of your day in the present, you're basically letting the day slip by, right? If you're always focusing on one area or another instead of the present moment, then you're not really living for today. It's a very interesting concept, and I just was thinking about this because I realize as similar as each of my days are to each other, because I have a very structured day, I actually enjoy my day more. It feels more fulfilling, and it doesn't feel like it's just passing me by. Instead, it feels like I'm actually living a good life. It feels like each day is worth going through. You don't want to be going through life feeling like, I just want this day to end, right? That's the different side of it, right? You could be feeling like, man, it's going too fast. I don't have enough time. But you could also feel like it's dragging on. And you're like, come on, can't this day end? I just want to get to tomorrow. There's people like that, right? They're just like waiting for the day to end. But it's not like there's some prize at the end of the rainbow. You know what I mean? You wait for the next day. What's the goal, right? It's going to be basically the same as today. So if you're not enjoying today, then the question shouldn't be about, I hope I get to tomorrow quicker, because you're just going to end up repeating basically the same thing. It should be about, okay, maybe there is something that I'm doing in my day that I don't like, and maybe I should change that. And secondly, what am I actually focusing most of my attention on in the day? Where am I putting my energy? And is this worthwhile? Is this worthy of pursuing? Or do I need to make a change? See? So it's just an interesting discussion, thinking about the perception of time. And I don't think it's necessarily a matter of the amount of years you live. It's more about what are you doing in those pockets of time and in these days that make up our life. So it's just something that I want you to consider, as you go about today. Recognize, how does time feel for you? Does it feel like it's going by very quick? Does it feel like it's going very slow? And notice what you're doing during those times where it feels like it's going quick, right? They always say it's like, oh, time flies when you're having fun, right? I think there's truth to those statements, right? But you can change the perception of time just based on what you focus on. So make sure you're focusing on the present moment. Think about where you are right now in the present moment, and let that carry you through the day.